We'll do the roll call.
Commissioner Palacios?
Here.
Commissioner Choma?
Here.
Commissioner Lukes?
Here.
Commissioner Spray?
Absent.
We have a quorum. We have 3 members out of the current 4. So,
Alrighty, let's take a pledge of allegiance.
Take the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For a foreign object.
All right. So next we have how to look at the agenda. Do we have any comments before approval of the agenda?
Any changes, Mark? No? Move to approve? Second.
All right, we have a second, so the agenda is approved.
No, we have to vote.
Is it?
Yeah, we have to vote.
Oh, I thought we just did.
No, we just had
Okay.
a motion. You had a second.
Excuse me?
And then you have to all in favor.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll call a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Commissioner
It
Palacios?
passes.
Aye. Yes.
It is now
In favor,
approved.
yes.
Yes, it's
All right.
now approved.
Next up, number 5 is the approval of the minutes from the HPC meeting of January 15th, 2014.
I don't have any changes.
All right. Commissioner Palacios, do you see any changes
No.
necessary or any questions?
That's fine. Move to approve.
All right, then let's move towards approval.
A second.
All right, and I approve them as well. All right, well, we are now at number 6, the Citizens Forum. Just as a gentle reminder, and we do have this on the agenda here, that citizens wishing to speak shall limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. All right, so, and hopefully we can then move along and hear all the comments and, continue on with everyone's concerns. So, do we have anyone that is scheduled to speak at this time? Signed in? And please state your name.
Madam Chair, I'm George Fritz Hahn, and if this is the Citizens Forum, we are already on the agenda, so perhaps I should sit and wait and see.
Would you
I
like
wasn't
to-
sure.
Yes, that's correct. I have the Acequia presentation as an item on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry?
So I guess there's no one wishing to speak
So
under the Citizens
there is
Forum.
no one here at this time that wishes to make a comment before we head into the presentation? Well, then by all means, let's head into the presentation.
Thank you, Chairwoman Choma, and thank you, Commissioners, for your service to our community. As I just stated, I'm George Fritz Hahn, and I'm here because a number of parciantes, mayordomos, and commissioners have expressed concern about our acequias here in town. A few months back, we had had a very productive meeting with the new Planning and Zoning Director, and shortly thereafter made a presentation similar to this to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And now we are here tonight to give you a brief presentation, history, concerns, as your commission is all about our shared history. This is an informative discussion, and Before I turn it over to the mayordomos and parciantes, I just want to give you a copy of the state statutes for your files so that as these issues come across, you can refer easily and quickly to them. And with that said, I'll get off and open it up for our parciantes and mayordomos and commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I? In the packet? Look,
Let's see.
just on the ledge.
Oh, it's just on the ledge.
Oh. Thank you.
Hello, Commissioner. My name is Petra Quintana, and I am a parciante on the Acequia Madre Pueblo ditch. And I'm going to pass out some maps to you so you can kind of follow along with what I'm talking about as I'm going along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're on the same ditch. Thank you.
The first map that I gave you, which is marked number 1 on the bottom left-hand side, this is a map of Fernandez de Taos, and this is the years 1845 and 1875. And this is when the first settlers settled in this area. And I think it's really important for you to take a look at the map. On the left-hand side, you will see that it shows the springs, which was a main water supply for the Fernando de Taos. If you look on the right-hand side where you have the east, west, north, and south indications, it has Old Ditch there. That is the Acequia Madre de Pueblo. And it is common knowledge that when any of the communities or any of the settlers settled in an area that they planned on staying, that they have a water source. And these were their water sources. And I think it's really important for us to take a look at this map because when we talk about spending all this money to bring tourists into town, I think it's very important that we take pride in our history and we try and preserve what we have and not had, what we have, because we still have it here and it's still we're still capable of using it if we do renovations and we take proper care as we go on forward. If you look at the map number 2, that kind of gives you an idea of the ditches that are in the town area. You will notice that the ditch number 1 is the Acequia Madre de Pueblo. Now that is the mother ditch, and that ditch feeds into all the other ditches as you go on down the line. One of these ditches, which is ditch number 5, the Acequia de la Loma Abajo, that ditch was pretty much obliterated when they did the road there by Sid's supermarket. So the commissioners and the mayordomo, as I understand, kind of stepped in and took over, and they just went ahead and made it a part of the Acequia Madre de Pueblo. But, you know, as commissioners on the Historic Preservation Committee, I think it's, like I said, I think it's really important that we take into consideration these water sources that were very, very important back in the day when the settlers did stay here, because I would like to see them running again. I mean, I can't imagine anything more beautiful than having tourists walk down our streets and have water running through our acequias. I mean, you know, there's nothing more peaceful, tranquil, you know, and it also, you know, it just gives you a feeling of cleanliness, you know. But anyway, that's my spiel, and I would like to see them restored if possible. I know that there was a study that was done. I would like to see that study happen. I would rather see tourists come into town and enjoy what we have restored back to the way it was, and walk and be able to see it with their own eyes rather than reading it in Silvia Rodriguez's book, because that would really be a shame. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of this commission, my name is David Rael, and I'm the mayordomo of the Spring Ditch. And as you all know, presently we're in litigation with the town of Taos over impairment issues, but I'm not really at liberty to speak about that because we're in litigation. But I guess what I would want to see, which I don't know if it exists or not, I really don't understand what protocol is for you folks to take on an issue that involves an acequia in a historical district. What is the trigger? Let's say a developer comes into town from some other state that he or she is not familiar with the acequia culture here in Taos. Well, if the developer goes to the town of Taos because he plans to build a structure, whatever kind of development, here within the town limits, of course he goes to get a permit. What is the trigger that makes this whole process come to you folks so that you can recommend something to either the Planning and Zoning Commission, to the town council? Do we even have a protocol? I don't think so. Because in the Spring Ditch, which is just south of town, which is, are you folks familiar with where the Spring Ditch is? Well, it's almost eradicated because a developer has placed a development over our point of diversion. But more importantly, is that during the process of this developer putting a development over our point of diversion, you folks were never engaged.
Is it possible, excuse me,
Yes.
may I interject?
Sure.
Is it possible that that particular ditch is out of our district?
No, it's just south of
No,
town.
it's within historical district.
Well, I believe it's south of Placitas, no?
Yes, it's right behind the cleaners and
that's
right
our
in the area of McDonald's.
But that's the demarcation for the historic. We don't go beyond that. The town goes beyond that, but the historic district does not, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, you know, just to give you some information, sir, the Spring Ditch has a priority date of 1800. That's when that particular ditch was first placed in action. But, you know, if you folks don't have any jurisdiction over this acequia, I'm not here to engage you folks after all that has happened. I think I would rather have questions answered, or maybe after this meeting, maybe if there's a possibility for some kind of protocol to be developed out of this meeting, when a developer comes in and is going to do something in a historical district where you folks have jurisdiction over. What I am saying is, what is the protocol? What will lead the developers to this commission so that this commission can make a recommendation? I think that's very important. I don't know if there's one.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
I have a question for you. What would you be looking for? I think the code now merely provides for setbacks from existing acequias for any development. What are you looking for in terms of protection other than what the minimal protection that the code provides now? Would you like the planning and zoning or the historical commission to look at if there's an acequia, evaluate whether the development is affecting in any way, shape, or form the acequia, so there will be a level of scrutiny for the developer to undergo? Is that what?
Well,
do I
I
understand
think that, you know, as a first step, is to determine where this developer plans to build a structure or whatever. And if there is an acequia, whether it's active or not. Most acequias at this point are not active on account of the drought. But people get this impression because they're not active, they must not exist, or it's okay to trample over them. Because remember, one of the main issues here is folks coming from the outside that don't understand the culture. But getting back to your question, I think if you folks get engaged by protocol, I think it is very important that the next step is that the mayordomo and the commissioners or whoever that acequia belongs to, I guess in a sense, that they get engaged and that they also make recommendations to you folks. And let's not forget that acequias are governed by statutes. Mm-hmm. Let me give you one, if you're going to consider or take recommendations about an acequia that's historical, that let's say has a priority date of 1800 as the spring ditch. There's a statute that very clearly says an ancient acequia shall not be disturbed. Mm-hmm. Now, it's up to the commissioners and the mayordomo, together with their pacientes. The pacientes have to vote. We're political subdivisions. It's not enough for a mayordomo like myself to give this commission permission. Wait a minute. How about the rest of the pacientes? They are the ones that own the water rights. So I would say it's not that the acequias do not want development. It's not that the acequias, it's just that it seems like in absence of a protocol.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I would like to respond.
Yes.
And what I have encountered, especially now during this election time, is that there is quite a bit of misinformation out there. And misinformation usually comes from miscommunication. And there are some things I would like to clear up just in your questions. I sense that your questions are sincere. I would like to answer them. First, this commission, what does it do? It's the Historical Preservation Commission. This commission is not unversed in acequias and the history of Taos. We are, in fact, very committed as a commission to maintaining and preserving that. Absolutely know this. The other thing is, from what I'm hearing, this particular acequia is outside of our domain. And it may, in fact, upon further examination, be a planning and zoning issue. I do not know that. One thing I would like to make clear, though, is that we had before us a very ambitious restoration of all of the original acequias as they existed prior to being covered over by roads in the entire town of Taos, over which we do have, that is our domain. That was very ambitious. It is still in process as far as I know. This included many, many hours of interviews with fourth generation just to identify where some of the acequias and their tributaries ran that had been covered over for years. We were elated that someone had gone and done that kind of work. I believe Judy Cantu, who is with us tonight, was on the commission at that time, and she can vouch that she saw we had multiple maps, a plan, and as things go, these things take a while to achieve. Money is a factor, and this had to do with uncovering acequias that have been covered over years back, when for whatever reasons they were not attended to, they were not paid attention to. And it's a very complex issue because it's easements. Where do the acequias run under land owned by someone else now that never knew there was one there, and so forth and so on. So this is only to let you all know that we as a commission very much support the acequias and preserving them, protecting them. And last but not least, we had before us a multi-unit development, an applicant in the town of Taos, within our domain more recently, and we did issue X amount of conditions that they had to satisfy before they could move forward and complete this. And those conditions included protecting the acequias that ran through that property, smack in the middle of town of Taos. So this, I think, is important communication, that you know that we are on your side.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay?
Yes.
And as far as I know, those conditions that were issued from this commission, as far as I know, through planning and zoning, but they can verify, have not yet all been completed. But I can assure you that one of the conditions was protection of the acequia. The second one was to make sure that two of the buildings that are older buildings that reside right on Paseo Pueblo del Norte are taken care of, they are preserved, maintained, and they are not mowed over, and they are not taken down. That's what we do, sir.
Yes. Well, thank you. You know, I'm elated to hear information like that, because I think it's going to take a concerted effort. Yeah. It's going to be this commission where you have jurisdiction. It's going to take the commission, the Planning and Zoning Commission, all the way up to the council when they review an application or whatever. You know, we don't want to become another Santa Fe here when Santa Fe did what we're doing here in Taos now, and 20 years later, they want to resurrect the acequias. Now they don't even know where they were.
Wow.
And I'm glad to hear.
We are with you.
Yeah, Mr. Rael, I think it's a part of the process at the planning department level that whenever there is a development planned with an acequia, the applicant has to bring a letter of approval from the mayordomo or representative of that acequia. Am I correct, Martha?
Yes, you are correct.
So there are safeguards already built into it, and the planning department is a hawkeye looking for if there are acequias, because everybody's commitment to your cause, to our cause.
Well, yes. You know, the only thing I would like to remind you in that regard is a mayordomo on his own does not have the authority to give a commission permission to do whatever they're going to do. It's a political subdivision. It takes a vote. The water right owners have to vote, because too often a commissioner will give either the developer or say to the town or to this commission, it's okay, just have them put a culvert, without getting the consensus of the actual water right owners.
Right. I would suggest that this needs to be worked out.
Yeah, and Ms. Perkins, maybe you need to add it to, instead of just getting a letter from mayordomo, the letter ought to say that the acequia members have voted in favor, or so.
It is within.
Just what Mr. Al is asking, instead of just having a mayordomo who will single-handedly and arbitrarily grant approval or not grant approval. So I hear you loud and clear. So the letter should say that after the project being presented to the members of the acequia, the members have voted.
And that this has in fact occurred.
Right.
Yes.
And that we make sure that this has happened.
Yes.
And this has to do with construction now and in the future. And the comments I made were we went so far as to head into a plan to unearth construction that was already done over Acequias, a long time back,
Yes.
and hoping to restore those systems. One runs all the way down Bent Street. We talked about doing that. The other thing, so just know, and I would love to reopen that project. I would love to encourage the citizens and persons within the historic overlay that are involved with the acequias in the areas that we are involved in to let us know of their continued interest so that we can continue that project.
Thank you.
Okay?
Ms.
Thank you
Perkins?
very much.
Ms. Perkins, can the staff come up with some additional verbiage and add it to the code so the plan, P&Z and the Historical Preservation Commission would be on the same page? That includes some language regarding the process of approval process for developments in regards to acequias?
Yes, we can add that to the code. What we can also do, and I've already made this commitment, is with our building permits that we have there, that they have a letter of approval for development, and we're outlining what they can and cannot do as far as disruption of the acequias, such as stormwater, protection, and that they can't be draining their roof gutters into the acequia, things like that. So we're trying to make the applicants fully aware of, what they can and cannot do when it comes to a site plan. And we're putting that in the application. So rather than having a whole bunch of code on it, we're actually putting it in multiple applications, trying to make sure that we do have that review before a building permit is issued.
Okay, and would it strengthen the protection if we had some new language added to the code?
Yes, we can pursue that as well.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
I would like to suggest that we do that and that we continue, perhaps in follow-up meetings, to refine and address the protection of the acequias or in the language that we would like to integrate.
Okay, because there is the protection of acequias currently in the code. But
Have you seen it, Mr. Ryle?
Well, I've had experience with this because I recently, about 2 years ago, I went through the town of Taos for a permit to build a casita in my property. Our acequia, where I am building, is only about, I would say, maybe 25 feet away from an acequia easement. And it was in the application. I was never asked. But they were very diligent about, did I have enough rebar in the foundation? Well, did everything else meet code? But even though it was there, they never asked me about it. And Madam Chair, if you indulge me for one more comment, I would really appreciate it. And and also, earlier I said that it takes a concerted effort. Well, you know what? I think as mayordomos and commissioners and water right owners, we also have to be vigilant, especially here in the town area. Just to give you some examples of what we have had to be involved with, not talking about the town-to-town litigation that's presently ongoing. Our ditch was covered. We had to take this gentleman to the magistrate court, and the judge, Betty Gonzalez, saw what was going on. She understood the statutes. She ordered this gentleman. She says, you uncover that acequia, and I'm only give you so many days. Another issue that comes up with our acequias, particularly in town, is a lot of folks think that because the acequia is there, it is a convenient place to dump their storm drain from the roofs. The roof drains are convenient for somebody just to direct them to an acequia. Or storm drains from roads. And you know what? And unless the Parciantes and the mayordomo and the commissioners are vigilant, it happens, and 9 times out of 10, because of our culture, we think, well, no, well, if the town is doing that, well, the town is like the authority. Therefore, we can't question the town.
No.
I know that, but you know, out of respect, sometimes this occurs.
No, we depend on you now to talk with your own dicho mayordomos and pacientes and everyone, and you know, unite in that way and know that your contribution and is very, very important, and participation.
Yes.
It's very important. But and for the sake of moving on this evening,
Yes.
I hope that we. I need to ask if there's anyone else that would like to make any comments. Please come up.
Mr. Rael, one last comment. Please feel free to communicate with our planning department in formulating the addition to the code.
Yes, and
Please do.
Mr. Lutz, I think that you know me already. I mean, you know, if I have to stand up for something that's going to preserve our culture and keep Taos the way we would like a community to be, a community that attracts people because of our heritage.
We're with you.
Yes,
We're with you, 100%.
we are with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Vince Martinez. I've been a mayordomo at the Molino Ditch for 13 years. The Molino Ditch is like what's considered a priority ditch, with having a priority date of 1800. Over the years, since I've been mayordomo, there has been constant abuse of our ditches by, or acequias by developers, the town council, and practically everybody else who wants to get their you got to bear with me. I'm not a public speaker, okay?
Oh, relax.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I had some notes here, but I've got to put my glasses on. My wife tells me to wear my glasses, but I don't do what my wife tells me.
You can borrow mine.
Sorry.
All right.
Mr. Rael covered pretty much of what I had in mind here, but I will say that, like most Hispanics here in northern New Mexico, we've been here for centuries, since the late 1900s, both sides of my family, and this acequias have been our life all through the years. They've been our life for our livestock, for our gardens, for our produce. And I really hate to see what's been happening here. I was raised up here about 2-3 blocks north of the town complex here. And we've got 3 dead ditches right now. We've got the Loma Abajo. The Lomita Abajo has been covered over when they built the Retario. The Loma Abajo was done away with when they put the signal lights over in Cuesta Road and Placitas.
Mr. Martinez, can I ask you a question?
This is kind of rough here.
No worries. What are the typical abuses and infringements to the acequias? What's the most common occurrence?
Primarily construction. Here, last 3-4 years, we had Valverde Commons come in,
Right.
and they were able to put their complex in there, and they tried to get the malaria. The malaria being that another spring ditch that starts on the other side of the Centennial Bank. That's been there since God put it there. It's been there forever. And they try to have, when they got their plans to build the project, they try to move the Valverde Commons, try to move the malaria ditch.
Mm-hmm.
Now the malaria ditch is used for irrigate, has always been used for irrigation and for livestock. Because I lived there, I know, and I'm 75 years old. I've been living there for quite a few years. Luckily, they were able to stop because they couldn't move the malaria ditch. They had to redesign their system. The malaria ditch is a desagüe for 3 ditches, the Molino, the Lovato, and the Sanchez. And I don't, well, there's something else that the adjudication with the Pueblo rights have been, I don't know why the government had to get in there. We have been sharing our water with our Pueblo neighbors here for centuries, and they had to come in and bring in their adjudication. That's in the process, it's in the court right now. We had a meeting in this particular hall here, I believe it was on the 23rd of May, with the Municipal Bonding Commission with the adjudication of properties, which I think the properties have the ditches on them, so they're part of the Acequia system. And 98% of the people that were in this hall here were against that adjudication because it was going to affect their water rights and everything else. But the political people here, the Municipal Boundary Commission, saw fit to go ahead and approve the annexation into the town from the county. There's quite a few other things that come to mind here, but I think I probably used up my.
Well,
So
let me ask you, Mr. Martinez, what you've heard so far.
Pardon me?
What you have heard so far from Mr. Real and us. Do you feel more comfortable that the Historical Preservation Commission has your best interest at heart?
Well, I sure hope so.
Mm-hmm.